Hi there, James here. It's the 24th of October, 2022, and the purpose of this video is to provide some updates for Plutus project-based learning. I'd like to provide some updates on which pre-production test network we're using in the course, share a message with anyone who's new here. Welcome. We'll get back to this in just a second. And I'd also like to share some updates for everyone who's both been contributing to the course or working on the course. A couple big updates that happened over the weekend. So first of all, some context. We originally launched this course only 3 months ago, but it feels like a long time ago because so much has happened over the last 3 months. In August, the testnet that we were using and relying on, you might have heard it catastrophically failed. And so we had to realign some of the work we were doing and start using what was called the pre-production testnet. And you might hear this term pre-prod. This is the network we've been using since August, and that network was respun just last week. Now, our goal is to keep this course current by keeping all course materials updated, and we're doing our very best to keep up. I'm going to ask for your help later in this video and later this week. But I just want you to know this is hard. It's really hard to keep up with these changes, but it's also the nature of what we're doing. So I want you to know that if you feel frustrated, you're not alone, but we're in this, and this is what it takes to build something new and as innovative as Cardano. You're going to find some references in this course to the old testnet. And we're going to do our very best to update those videos, to keep the documentation updated. And so I'm going to share a link to new configuration files, and I'll share more on this idea of testnet magic 1 in just a moment. Over the weekend, Roberto, man, my dear friend and Gimbal Labs co-founder, was able to get GraphQL, Koios, and BlockFrost up and running again on pre-production. So all three of these URLs here are pointing to the latest pre-production network. It's just amazing to have these resources provided for free for the community. Roberto, thank you so much. For anybody who wants to learn more about Dandelion, more on this is coming in November. Right now, this video and the course you're looking at are about Plutus project-based learning, but we're also starting to work on the Dandelion project-based learning course. More to come on that, but for now, just know that these services that you need to build and test an application on Cardano are available for you to use. If you're new to PPBL, hey, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. You're going to find as you work through this course some videos that reference an old Cardano testnet. Here's a couple things you need to know. Now we are using the new pre-production testnet, and in order to run it, you're going to need some new configuration files. You can get these files at this URL right here. Just make sure to scroll down until you see pre-production testnet. And moving forward, these are the configuration files you'll use when you run a Cardano node. If you're not sure what I'm talking about yet because you're brand new to this course, don't worry. Just bookmark this part of the video. And when you get to module 101, where you're starting to spin up a node, these are the files that you're going to reference. And these are linked in the course. We've got you. There's also a new testnet Faucet here so that when you do create your pre-production wallet, you can come to this website here, make sure to choose pre-prod, share your address, and you'll get a bunch of test ADA for testing transactions and testing the applications you build. As you can see, a lot of work went into all of this, and just thank you to everybody across the Cardano development ecosystem who's making all this tooling possible. If you're new here, another thing you'll see is that you have to specify what network you're using when you run a Cardano node, or when you build transactions, or when you query the testnet using Cardano CLI. And some of the videos that we made, like I said up here, they reference the old testnet, and so there was a different number right here. What you need to know moving forward is that we're going to use testnet magic 1 in this course. So what wallet should you use? If you're using a browser wallet, I strongly recommend using Eternal. Eternal is working on the newest pre-production testnet. So when you open that up in your browser, down in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little menu where you can choose your network, and you can switch from mainnet to pre-production. When you do that, you will be connecting to the newest pre-production network. If you have been taking this course already, and if you made your own keys using Cardano CLI, you could still use them. They're still going to work. They're still going to generate the same address. But if you want to use that address, remember, you got to get those new testnet, or I should say pre-prod config files. And then you still have to go to the Faucet to fund this wallet again. But when you do, those old keys will be valid. Now, I could talk more about why that still works. This is kind of the magic of how keys and addresses work on Cardano. But if you have specific questions about that, be sure to bring those technical questions to live coding, where we can talk about this week. Now, as you might have noticed, summer 2022 is over. So with this network respin, I took the opportunity to just rename the access token we've been using from PPBL summer 2022 to PPBL 2022 access token. And if you've shared a testnet or a pre-prod address previously, you now have this new token in your wallet. Look for it. Those went out yesterday. You should be able to find it. If you don't have this token, just share your address on assignment 100.1, which is currently open, and will allow you to submit an address on the new pre-production testnet and receive this access token. Now, scrolling down, there's a note here that repeats some of what I'm saying right here. We're using the newest network. This video from Curtis is still relevant when it comes to best practices in security and setting up a wallet. It's just that this was made a couple months ago, and now we're using this newest network. So check out this video to learn how wallets work, and just make sure that when you use a wallet, you're using Eternal on pre-production network. By the way, if you've been using Eternal on pre-production and you open it up right now, you'll still have the same address, you'll still have the same password, you'll still have the same mnemonics, but you won't yet have any funds in your wallet. So you can go to that pre-production testnet Faucet, you can get some test ADA there, and you'll be back in business for using Eternal. Like I said, just want to reiterate this part. There's a new access token for the course. We've replaced PPBL Summer 2022 with a token called PPBL 2022 Access Token. And all of the code in the repos for the course has been updated accordingly. Like I said before, just want to reiterate this part as well. If you shared your address previously, you'll find the new access token in your wallet. If you don't have it yet, just share your address in that Canvas assignment 100.1. We're updating the code. I think a lot of it's up to date. I'm sure I missed a few details, and I could definitely use your help making sure that code is up to date. So if you see any old references to the PPBL Summer 2022 token, just let me know. There's a new channel in Discord where you can share questions about course updates. Now, what's interesting is that the policy ID for this new token is the same as the policy ID was for PPBL Summer 2022. This means that if you've made a Faucet contract of your own, for example, the same policy ID is still going to work for the access token. Again, you might see us talking about PPBL Summer 2022 in some of the video documentation. We're going to update all those videos, but creating videos is a bit time consuming, so it's not going to happen all at once. Just know that we are still working on revising the course, making sure that all the material is up to date. All of the lessons you'll learn are still relevant. It's just that some of the details need to be updated according to these changes. If you see anything that's not updated yet, like I mentioned a moment ago, please go over to Gimbal Labs Discord. There's a new channel called PPBL Course Updates, where any questions you have, anything that you're confused about or that doesn't seem like it's up to date yet, just be sure to ask questions there, and that'll help us make sure that we're getting the course as up to date as possible. Now, if you've been here for a while, thank you for sticking around through this. Everyone has a right to be frustrated that there's been a lot of fits and starts to the work we're doing, but we're doing it. And, this is what it takes to do things right. We have to make sure the networks have the right parameters. We got to make sure the tools are working right. So a couple changes over the weekend. The PPBL Faucet project, this is module 301 in the course. It's been updated, both the front-end template and the contracts that you'll see in PPBL Course 2. Both the Plutus and the front end have been updated so that the Faucet project, you see Faucet, project 301 Faucet was updated yesterday, and this will work on the new pre-prod network, and the front-end template has these changes as well. So what does that mean for you? Now, let me skip ahead here and come back to this, okay? You will be able to mint a token with the same policy ID as before on the new pre-prod. If you saved your scripts for minting tokens, those will still apply. So for example, I created a minting policy that has a certain pub key hash in that policy. If it's the same pub key hash but on a new network, I'll still get the same policy ID, and I can use that on the new network. All you need to do is mint the tokens that you were using in your previous iteration of the Faucet, and then re-register with the metadata. Remember, the way you can make your contract show up in the front-end template is by registering with metadata. Again, if you have questions about this, be sure to ask at live coding or in Discord. But if you've done this before, this is a pretty neat exercise in checking your understanding of the Faucet project. I've left all of the CBOR and all of the Faucet contract addresses that you have shared in the front-end template repo. So if you don't change anything about the contract, you just fund it again, and then you submit the metadata, it will show up in the front-end template and it should work. If you would like to recompile your Faucet contract with different parameters, you can do that. Just be sure to then share the latest CBOR so that we can add that to the front-end template and people can see your work. We're going to take a look at this because this video is already getting a little bit long at live coding this week. So more on that on Wednesday and or Thursday at live coding. I want to reiterate, right? It doesn't matter what network you're working on. You can create a policy ID independent of the network. And the same thing with validators, right? You can recompile your Plutus validator with all the same parameters. You can build an address with Testnet Magic 1. You'll get the same contract address. And so everything should still work, and it shouldn't take too long to get this work running again. When it comes to the Module 302 mastery assignments, a lot of people have already submitted mastery assignments 302.3, where you build a passive component, and 302.4, where you build a transaction component in the front-end template. They should still work. Please test them, okay? just pull the latest changes from the front-end template and the PPBL course 02 repo. Make sure to run yarn in the front-end template so that you get the latest version of mesh. By the way, that's another thing that we're working on is the changes to mesh continue to roll out, but all of these components ought to work with the new libraries. If they don't, try to get them to work. And if you get stuck, just ask for help, okay? I'm not removing anything that you've created from the front-end template for these assignments. So please just double check that those work. If they don't, see if you can get them to work and submit a merge request. And if you get stuck, as always, please ask for help. What's next? We're going to continue to revise the rest of the course, first with anything that's in a code repository or anything that's written in text in the Canvas course. That's the lowest hanging fruit. We'll get that stuff done first. Videos take a little bit longer to make, but one by one, we're going to update those videos and make sure everything is as up to date as possible. Right now, the course teaches you how to use Plutus V1 contracts. We think it's worth it for you to get a feel for how these Plutus V1 contracts work before we start working on Plutus V2. And one of the biggest reasons to transition to Plutus V2 is that you will save on transaction costs. But since we're working on Testnet, it's not urgent to get to V2 right away. And V1 will give you a way to kind of dig in, learn how Plutus contracts work, and ideally help you understand even better what changed with Plutus V2. And so this relates to the GBTE project as well. The notes on GBTE in the current course are all in reference to a Plutus V1 version of this project, but we are already starting to move towards Plutus V2. More on that will come this week. So a lot going on, kind of exasperating times right now. This is what we are here for. I hope that this course and this community that we're building around it can really help you get on your feet as a Cardano developer, even though the tooling and even the test network is changing right under our feet in real time. We're in this together. We're figuring it out. I'll be in touch more this week to ask for help revising the course and revising different repositories. And I'm hoping to see everybody this week at Live Coding. I hope this video makes sense. As you can see, I'm scrambling a little bit too, but we're building for the long term, and I hope to see you out there. Cheers, everybody. See you soon.